Dhritarashtra said, I am desirous to hear of the destruction of Kirmira. Do thou tell me how the encounter took place between the Rakshasa and Bhishmasena. Vidura said, listen to the history of that feat of Bhishmasena, of superhuman achievements. I have often heard of it in course of my conversation with the Pandavas. Defeated at dice, the Pandavas departed from hence, and travelling for 3 days and nights, they at length reached those wounds that go by the name of Kamyaka. Just after the dreadful hour of midnight, when all nature is asleep, when men eating Rakshasas of terrible deeds begin to wander, the ascetics and the cohorts and other rangers of the forest used to shun the woods of Kamyaka and fly to a distance from fear of cannibals. And as the Pandavas were at this hour entering those woods, a fearful Rakshasa of flaming eyes appeared before them with a lighted brand, obstructing their path. And with outstretched arms and terrible face, he stood obstructing the way on which those perpetrators of the cruel race were proceeding, with 8 teeth standing out, with eyes of coppery hue, and with the hair of his head blazing and standing erect. The fiend looked like a mass of clouds reflecting the rays of the sun, or mingled with lightning flashes, and graced with flocks of cranes underneath on their wings, and uttering frightful yells and roaring like a mass of clouds charged with rain, the fiend began to spread the illusion proper to his species. Hearing that terrible roar, birds along with other creatures that live on land or in water began to drop down in all directions, uttering cries of fear. And in consequence of the deer and the leopards and the buffaloes and the bears flying about in all directions, it seemed as if the forest itself was in motion, and swayed by the wind, raised by the signs of the Rakshasa, creeper growing at a great distance, seemed to embrace the trees with their arms of coppery leaves. And at that moment a violent wind began to blow, and the sky became darkened with the dust that covered it. And as grief is the greatest enemy of the object of the 5 senses, even so appeared before the Pandavas that no fear of theirs. And beholding the Pandavas from a distance, clad in black deer skins, the Rakshasa obstructed their passage through the forest, even like the Mainaka mountain. And at the sight of him never seen before, the lotus-eyed Krishna, agitated with fear, closed her eyes. And she whose brains had been disheveled by the hand of Dusasana, stationed in the midst of the 5 Pandavas, looked like a stream shuffling amid 5 hills, and seeing her overwhelmed with fear, the 5 Pandavas supported her as the 5 senses, influenced by desire, adhere to the pleasures relating to their objects. And the Halmia, of great energy, in the presence of the sons of Pandu, destroyed the fearful illusion that had been spread by the Rakshasa by applying various mantras, calculated to destroy the Rakshasa. And beholding his illusion, dispelled the mighty Rakshasa of crooked ways, capable of assuming any form at will, expanded his eyes in wrath, and seemed like death himself. Then King Yudhishthira, answered with great wisdom, addressed him, saying, Who art thou, and whose? Tell us what we shall do for thee. The Rakshasa, thus addressed, answered Yudhishthira, the just, saying, I am the brother of Vaka, the celebrated Kirmira. I live at ease in these deserted woods of Kamyaka, daily procuring my food by vanquishing men in fight. Who are ye that have come near me in the shape of my food? Defeating ye in fight, I will eat ye with pleasure. Hearing these words of the wretch, Yudhishthira announced his own name and lineage, saying, I am King Yudhishthira, the just, the son of Pandu, of whom thou mayest have heard, deprived of my kingdom. I have with my brothers, Bhishmasena and Arjuna and the others, in course of my wanderings, come into this terrible forest, which is thy dominion, desirous of passing my period of exile here. Kirmira said unto Yudhishthira, by good luck it is that fate hath accomplished today my long accomplished desire. With weapons upraised have I been continually hanging the entire earth with the object of slaying Bhishma. Bhishma I had found not. By good luck it is that slayer of my brother, whom I had been seeking so long, have come before me. It was he who, in the disguise of a Brahmana, slew my dear brother, Vaka, in the Vetrakia forest, by virtue of his science. He hath truly no strength of arms. It is this one of wicked soul who formerly slew my dear friend Hidingva, living in this forest, and have shed his sister, and that who have now come into this deep forest of mine, when the night is half spent, even at the time when we wander about. Today I will wreak my long cherished vengeance upon him, and I will today gratify Vaka with his bloody implant, by slaying this enemy of the Rakshasas. I shall today be freed from the debt I owe to my friend and my brother, and thereby attain supreme happiness. If Bhishmasena was let free formerly by Vaka, today I will devour him in thy sight. And even as Agastya ate up and digested the might Asura, I will eat up and digest this Bhishma. Thus addressed by the Rakshasa, the virtuous Yudhishthira, stood fast in his pledges, said, "It can never be." And in anger he bucked the Rakshasa, the might-armed Bhishma, then tore up in haste a tree of the length of 10 vyasas, and stripped it of its leaves. And in the space of a moment, the ever-victorious Arjuna stringed his bow Gandiva, possessing the force of the thunderbolt, and making Jishnu desist, Bhishma approached that Rakshasa, still roaring like the clowns, and said unto him, "Stay, stay." And thus addressing the cannibal, and tightening the cloth around his waist, and rubbing his palms, and beating his nether lip with his teeth, and armed with the tree, the powerful Bhishma rushed towards the foe, and like unto Mahabharat, hurling his thunderbolt, Bhishma made that tree resembling the mace of Yama himself, descend with force on the head of the cannibal. The Rakshasa, however, was seen to remain unmoved at that blow, and wavered not in the conflict. On the other hand, he hurled his lighted brand, flaming like lightning, at Bhishma. That foremost of warriors turned it off with his left foot in such a way that it went back towards the Rakshasa. Then the fierce Kirmira, on his part, of sudden uprooting a tree, darted to the encounter like unto the mace bearing Yama himself, and that fight, destructive of the trees, looked like the encounter in days of yore between the brothers Vali and Sugriva, for the possession of the same woman, and the trees struck at the heads of the combatants were broken into shivers like lotus stalk thrown on the temples of infuriate elephants. And in that great forest innumerable trees, crushed like unto reeds, lay scattered as hags. That encounter with trees between that foremost of Rakshasa and that best of men lasted for a moment. Then taking up a crag, the angry Rakshasa hurled it at Bhishma standing before him. The latter wavered not. Then like unto her who going to devour the sun, dispersing his reins with extended arms, the Rakshasa with outstretched arms darted towards Bhishma, who had remained firm under the blow inflicted with the crag. and tugging at and grappling with each other in the vast ways. They appeared like two infuriated bulls struggling with each other, like unto two mighty tigers armed with teeth and claws. The encounter between them waxed fierce and hard, and remembering their disgrace at the hands of Duryodhana, and proud of the strength of his arms, and conscious of Krishna looking at him, Vrikodara began to swell in vigor, and fired with anger. Bhishma seized the Rakshasa with his arms, as an elephant in rout seizeth another, and the powerful Rakshasa in his turn seized his adversary. Bhishmasena, that foremost of all men, endowed with strength, threw the cannibal down with violence. The sounds that, in consequence of those mighty combatants pressing each other's hands, were frightful, and resembled the sounds of splintering bamboos. And hurling the Rakshasa down, seized him by the waist, and began to whirl him about, even as fish hurricane shaketh a tree. And thus seized by the mighty Bhishma, the fatigued Rakshasa became faint, and trembling all over, he still pressed with all his strength, and finding him fatigued, Vrikodara twined his own arms round the foe, even as one bindeth a beast with cord, and the monster thereupon began to roar frightfully as a trumpet out of order, and the mighty Vrikodara for a long while wiggled the Rakshasa till the latter appeared to be insensible and began to move convulsively. And finding the Rakshasa exhausted, the son of Pandu, without loss of time, took him up in his arms and slew him like a beast. And placing his knee on the waist of that wretch of Rakshasa, Vrikodara began to press the neck of the foe with his hand. Then Bhishma, dragging along the earth the bruised body of the Rakshasa, with the eyelids about to close, said, "Thou wilt no more have to weep away the tears of Hirinva or Vaka, for thou too art about to go to the mansions of Yama." And saying this, that foremost of men, his heart filled with wrath, beholding the Rakshasa, destitute of clothing and ornaments, and insensible, and undergoing convulsions, left him dead. And after that Rakshasa, of who like the clowns had been slain, the son of that best of kings praised Bhishma for his many qualities, and placing Krishna in their front, set out for Dvaita woods. Vidyura said, "It was thus that Kirmira was slain in combat by Bhishma, in obedience to the commands of Yudhishthira, the just. And having rid the forest of its pest, the victorious Yudhishthira, the just, began to live in that dwelling of theirs with Draupadi, and those bulls of the Mahabharata race, comforting Draupadi, began to cheerful extol Bhishma with glad hearts. And after the Rakshasa had been slain, borne down by the mighty Bhishma arms, those heroes entered into the peaceful forest, freed from its annoyance. Passing through the great forest, I saw lying the body of the wicked and fearless Rakshasa, slain by Bhishma might. And there I heard of this achievement of Bhishma from those Brahmanas who have assembled round the Pandavas. Hearing the account of the slaughter in combat of Kirmira, that foremost of Rakshasa, the king sighed in sorrow and became absorbed in thought.